the question is, how has the commercial industry changed? Because this is not your first rodeo, so to speak. And I know you've been doing this a long time, but before we do that, Rick, it's Ferrari, right?
Ferrari, like the car.
Okay, I knew that. I just didn't want to go wrong, so I went long. Ferrari, Rick Ferrari and Ferrari
Yeah.
Agency. Rick, welcome to my little piece of the world.
Well, thank you for having me, Will.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, you too, and see you. Let's just jump right into it. I want to ask you a question about, and we're both going to do the same thing through the whole thing like this. I'm going to be going like this to see if anybody says anything. And I think we have this. We would shop at the same places for our glasses.
I think we do. Look,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah, there
yeah,
it is. I like it. Look at that. So here, let's just start off. Let's just start off and get real down and dirty with all this stuff. We know what was. And I
yeah.
remember I started in 1980, and
Mm-hmm.
then in '85 I became SAG, and
Mm-hmm.
the rest is history. That's when we all went, oh yeah, SAG, that's awesome. I'm actually a professional actor.
Yeah.
So things have changed a tad in the commercial world. Back then we had residuals that were affected by only networks, and I think my first commercial I did with my wonderful friend Judith Belay, a casting director in Monterey, made me about $26,000. Now, if I do one and it makes me $5, I feel lucky. So how has the industry
Yeah.
changed in your opinion, brother?
Well, the watering hole has definitely shrunk. It's definitely it's not as lucrative as it used to be for as many people. It's definitely a smaller pool of people that are enjoying success in it, and I'm very humbly grateful to admit that I am part of that,
Yeah.
and I think it just has a lot to do with approaching it from an innovative, efficient way. And I love what I do, which is really bizarre. Because when I was first approached to do commercials, I was appalled. I was like, I don't want to do commercials. And I'm sure a lot of actors that were acting in the '90s or the early 2000s can relate to that, because everybody used to turn their nose up at commercials until they started seeing every A-list celebrity, some of them even in 5 or 6 different campaigns,
Yeah.
So, but, especially since COVID, it changed so dramatically with regard to the self-tape part of it. I'd say that self-tapes, became, the complete way that theatrical is done now, if I'm not mistaken.
For the most
Um,
part, yeah.
but commercially, I'd say it's, I don't know, 60-40, 50-50. It's definitely, there's a fair share of casting directors that have their own studios. So they definitely encourage their producers to do live auditions, which are
Yeah.
always, of course, better for the actor and for the casting director. So luckily for us, commercially, the top casting directors, most of the top casting directors either have their own studios or they're committed to certain studio houses that they always go into. So, but that became a big thing. The fact that I could own and operate and run my agency out of my home, where my husband works out of the guest house and I work in the main house, and our other agent, Matthew, works out of his home. Accounting is run out of Tarzana.
Yeah.
So, SAG was okay with that. The Association of Talent Agencies was okay with that. So it's changed, its shape and size and approach is completely changed since COVID. Um, and I'd say that it's, we've seen it coming for a long time. It became much more inclusive and diverse. And, commercial types are not as in fashion, and that's
Great
something to
subject.
really, yeah, it's commercial types, the congenial, the traditional commercial type, where they were the idealized version of a housewife or the idealized version of a mailman, since we were talking about mailmen. um, you know those types don't get normally cast anymore unless they're doing some sort of a parody type of commercial.